call this meeting of the East Stevens School District to order. And we don't have any recognitions today, so we need to approve the agenda.
So moved.
So moved, is there a second? Second, it has been moved and seconded that we approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes. Any public comment?
None.
None, so let's move on. Approval of the consent agenda. Any changes, thoughts? Okay, need a motion to approve that? Okay, second?
I'll second.
The consent agenda, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Program evaluations. Guidance is what we have first, and we need lots of that.
Hey, everybody. I guess you guys have all received this and had a chance to look at it. Does anybody have any questions for me?
Yeah, I do. Who's on this committee?
Yep.
Who's part of this? This is the counselors, like all the counselors in the district, so it'd be myself, Tau Clubs at Triway, Darren Cook at Granby, and then Megan John at high school.
There's not an admin on this committee. Just.
No,
Okay.
it's not technically a committee, it's just
Okay.
our program,
Program.
guidance program.
Any big changes from last year? Anything you want to talk about?
Well, major change for me. I'm part-time at the high school, part-time at Granby, so that was, it's been a big change, a big adjustment for us.
What about effectiveness?
We're doing the best we can. I think we're doing pretty good with what we have, major cut. It's been a work in progress, kind of a daily thing of reevaluating things, prioritizing things. But I feel like we've done a pretty good job of making the best of it.
Any concerns? I mean, there's nothing listed, so what are you thinking?
Well, losing a counselor is a concern,
Okay.
but I mean, we don't feel like there's anything we can do about that. So, like I said, just kind of taking it day by day and week by week and prioritizing. And I personally feel like it's gone pretty well. But it is a constant reevaluation of what's needed and bare essentials and stuff like that.
So short of another counselor, any other things that you guys wants to think about or look at, or is that the only concern at this point?
Yeah, I'd say any concerns that I have, or if I could speak for the rest of the counselors, would be personnel resources.
Okay.
That's kind of always been on my mind, even before we lost a counselor. So I feel like there's a huge need for our kids, and not just our school, schools across the region, for mental health and being able to meet their needs. So.
Okay. All right, anybody questions? Okay, thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, somebody else must be, there she is.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks, Lori.
How's everyone? Good?
Good.
All right. You saw this? Yep.
Yep.
One thing I don't remember if I put in there though was about the grant that Dr. Mitchell and Rusty and I got together with and was able to get through the state of Missouri, $15,166.17 to go towards a new walk-in cooler. So we're gonna do that as soon as the weather warms up and we get, are able to.
I think
So-
you had that in here, but.
Did I? Okay.
but
I
don't
thought I
think you
did, but
had-
I didn't find it right
don't
off, so.
think you had
That
that.
says we'll purchase this
Yeah.
walk-in.
Okay.
You have the
Okay,
direct fund.
okay. We requested, I believe, was 18,000 is what the quotes we got on it, and we were last on the list, and we went ahead and said, yeah, we would take it, and it turns out they gave us, it started out, they thought they were just gonna be able to fund about 9,000, And then before, like, the end of the next day, we had over 15,000, so. and
What
there's-
happened was we requested the 18,000, and then another school requested an amount. They didn't get the amount they wanted, so they backed out,
Oh,
and
so
then that money
makes
came to us.
Funds
And
available.
we were gonna fund it whether we
Yeah.
got the full 18 or not, because it's needed, so.
Yeah, that's original equipment down
Yeah.
there. Yeah. And
Original, I don't know if it's
we're
original.
concerned
68
about the
was
door
original
hanging
something.
on and let alone the seals and things like that, so. But, you know, knock on wood, it has served us well. Had a lot of use on that.
No, I said earlier, we're gonna try to do that in April. I think we're gonna go ahead and push that back to the summer, so it won't put cafeteria staff in a bind of trying to find a place to store
We
stuff.
receive a truck every week, and that's where it's held. Majority of it is, so if, as long as it hangs on, then that'll be an opportune time to do it. in the
Where
summer
it stays
break.
cold.
Stays cold.
Yeah, like,
Yeah. Any questions about any of this, or I don't know that I can answer all of it with the DESI part of it, but I'll try.
Where's, you said the annual passing of inspection, so we don't usually have problems with that, of the health inspections,
Correct.
right?
Uh, Yeah, I mean, that's from the county health, that comes twice a year.
Mhm.
First semester and second semester, DESI requires it. If they don't come, I call them and tell them to please come,
Yeah.
so that we can have that, because Dr. Mitchell has to upload that to DESI each year. If there's an issue, we fix it immediately. Sometimes there's, you just never know what they're gonna look at this time from the next time. Sometimes it can be ceiling tile, sometimes it might be something that,
Spray on.
yeah, spray nozzle was frayed, or it could be equipment issue. It couldn't be someone, that they observed that maybe didn't wash their hands between changing gloves. So sometimes they wanna mark you on something, sometimes they don't. But
Sometimes
overall,
My experience is we haven't had any major,
We-
they've all
no.
been very minor correctable
yes,
things.
very minor. And whenever your health inspector says, I would eat out of your kitchen any day,
That's a good sign.
that means a lot, yeah. Because they don't worry much about East Newton. So,
How long has it been since we've been actually, my DESI's been down and inspected?
3 years.
3 years. How often did they do
They're
that?
coming
Doing it
February
right now.
26th.
Are they?
As
Yep.
we speak.
We went through that this year, so I was
Yep,
curious.
Yep.
I think maybe one did. DESI.
Well, DESI has outsourced it for our region for.
Is it the same guy we had?
I don't know. It's CNR Resources. So I don't
Some
know
guy that
actually
looked
who
like he
will.
was 12.
We don't
Who
know the
I'm
actual day
emailing,
they're
who
coming to
shows
visit,
up, we don't know.
they're looking at our record, all our records right now, so.
Everything.
They haven't
So-
scheduled an actual day visit yet, so they're just looking at all our
I
documents.
think that's February 26th.
Okay, February
Yeah, I
26th.
think they.
Right. That's state government, not federal.
Did they go to all three campuses?
No, they
No,
chose the
just
high
picked
school.
one.
Just the high school?
They chose the high school. They are reviewing last week's production and meal compliance and all that stuff. We've had to upload everything. We've been working on this a couple weeks and getting all that sent to them, and then we'll see, if they need anything else and how we come out on that, so.
What other aging equipment, what else?
Well, we've done pretty good. Here at the high school, we're gonna have new walk-in cooler and freezer. We're just holding the maintenance on the other two campuses for
Probably
their
have to look at
walk-ins.
stoves at Triway and Granby eventually down the line.
Yes, yeah, eventually down the line be the
Warmers
stove.
are-
Nothing pressing though, really, right? I mean,
No,
I
No,
mean,
If it
there
ain't-
could always be something
Right.
happen, but
right. But
your milk cool, yeah, knock on some wood now.
I'm really enjoying those new ovens at the high school. Thank you. Those are well appreciated.
And you have down here meal pricing.
Those are meal pricing, that is something that we always have to stay in compliance with as far as the meal pricing equity tool that DESI sends out. And so Dr. Mitchell goes through that each year and makes sure that we are compliant with what they say. We have to raise the amount of the charged meal to our customers for,
It's a
For our
formula that looks
students.
at free and reduced prices compared to full
Paid.
prices, compared to reimbursement prices, compared to what we're charging.
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
not, they've got it
it's a process.
somewhat, made it somewhat easy enough that if you know what numbers to punch into their spreadsheet, it
Yeah.
works. If you don't have any clue what the numbers are, it's a little harder.
And so then it's gonna give you,
It gives
tell
you what the minimum
yes,
you
you
have to
can do
charge.
that, or no, you need to go 10 cents more or
Right.
whatever. A minimum, they're gonna give you a minimum, you have to raise at least this much to stay
it looks like some of them went down though.
where you're
from year to
covering
year,
on that.
right?
Yeah, what
Some of them.
it's cost to make that, yes, that's went down. And that's, it's helped, the increase that you did when the last one that, when Mr. McCracken was here, we did not raise it last year.
Right.
So it stayed the same from that, and, that was still compliant.
Right. So
So-
I'll run the
Price equity
price
calculator.
equity calculator again here in the spring,
Mhm.
and then if we have to increase it, it won't be by much.
Yeah,
It'll be nickel,
Nickel,
dime maybe
yeah.
at the most.
yeah, and that'll keep you compliant with what
What,
Bessie says
what
you
you all
have to
did a
be.
few years ago made up a whole lot of ground, so.
Mhm, mhm.
So the cost to produce it is actually more than we're charging. Is that correct?
Yes, well, let me get to that page.
And
Well,
is
yeah.
that because the free and reduced lunch helped that, or what? I mean, the cost to produce the lunch was $3.36,
Right.
and our lunch charge is
We,
$1.50.
$2.10
$1.95.
or $1.95 for KJ.
$2.85.
Yeah.
remember, we're a very high, free and reduced lunch rate, 63%
Right.
district-wide,
Mhm.
so we get 100% of that reimbursed.
Okay.
So when you see that, that means we get the
There's
full.
some federal money and there is
Right.
some state money that
Correct.
comes back to us.
Correct,
Okay.
per free meal, per reduced meal.
Right.
And you even get, commodity allocation for the paid meals. You get so many cents for each paid meal that comes to you in commodity dollars, which then comes to you in food,
Oh,
in commodities. So,
okay.
Or at least
That
some of
comes
it
into-
does.
yeah, yes, yeah,
Our entire goal on the food service program is to break
Break
even.
even, right.
yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely,
Yep.
yep.
The free and
It's not a
reduced,
moneymaker.
Right.
And if it is a moneymaker, we're shortchanging the kids, so.
so the free and reduced lunch, do they also get free and reduced breakfast if they
Correct.
qualify?
Yes.
Yep,
Okay.
if they qualify for one, qualify for both. Yep. Anything else?
Nobody? Hold on, I'm not done yet.
Okay.
Lori, let me tell you that I think you're doing a great job. And
Thank you.
anything I
Yes.
say, I don't want to, this is not meant in any way towards you. You
Okay.
are doing fantastic.
Yeah.
I just think that some of the things that are on here and some of the things that we're doing may not be in the best interest with OPA in general. I
Okay.
think we could do as good a job by ourselves as we could with OPA. Now, that is my thought, and if anybody else wants to give theirs, that is fine. I'm not gonna go into a big tirade, but that's where I stand.
Okay, I appreciate that.
It puts you in, I mean, we could ask you that question, but you work for OPEB, so
And
that
that is
becomes,
exactly why I didn't.
yeah.
Okay.
Because you have some loyalties there that you couldn't, I think, give an honest opinion,
Okay.
what you thought. Am I correct? Or,
I think you can give an
Do
honest
I
opinion.
think that you would be better off going back in-house?
Mhm.
You're asking me that?
yeah,
As a taxpayer and a citizen here in this district, I don't think you will be able to provide the program that OPA does. I don't think you'll be able to purchase the food at the price that they do and be able to offer the whole meats and the things like that they do.
The options, as many
The options
options.
is another thing, to employ someone that can, I mean, it can be done.
Because you've done
The
both,
in-house
right?
people can do it,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, they
And
can.
I was able to do it, with 2 options, but all these 5 and 6 and 10 options, that's
But
gonna
is that
take somebody
necessarily a
else.
positive?
I can't do it, but it can be done.
Do we need all those options? How much did we increase our participation from the time that we started 5 options, from the time we started 2 options?
I would have to research that, I don't know that off the top of my
Just
head.
guess.
Yeah.
Did we increase?
Well, I can't say, because that happened at the same time the Healthy Hunger Free
Right.
Kids
Yes, it
Act
did.
came into
And
effect.
so-
And it went down across the board nationwide.
And here's all I'm gonna say, OPA is not doing this as free gratis. They are not, they are in it as a for-profit company.
Sure.
Well,
And so therefore, they're
I'm
making
thinking-
money and we are paying that. We could do that on our own if we chose to.
Sure you could.
Okay, I'm done.
Yep.
At what cost, we don't know, though. at this
No,
point.
yeah, I would have no way of knowing how, what that labor would be whenever all that labor and
Do you
and
feel,
benefit package and all that came back to the district.
do you feel like your employees are taken care of well?
The OPA paid employees, yes, I believe that they are doing the fair market of what's expected around this area.
How much do we pay them an hour?
The other ones.
The OPAs?
We start at $8.60 an hour. OPA pays the minimum,
Mhm.
now the new minimum wage that went to there.
And do they have any benefits?
Substitutes do not, but online staff that work over 20 hours a week are eligible for a benefit package,
And that
where they can
includes-
purchase medical insurance, they can put money into a 401K after 5 years, they become vested, and then they start, you know, doing all of
How
that,
many employees do we have that are over 20 hours a week?
all of them.
Okay, and how many of them choose to participate in the health insurance, just the health insurance?
I don't know for sure, they do that on their own, they sign up for it on their own. I know of 2 for sure, because they've asked me for help in signing up for it, but that's their personal
That's not
business,
your
and I
area.
That's
don't
not your
really,
world, and you can't know that because of
Yeah, I'm not
HIPAA.
HR, so I don't know.
understand that.
yeah, I can't answer that.
But if we did it
Completely.
in-house, we would have to pay for their insurance.
Yes, we would. But again, remember, OPA's not doing this for free, so the amount of stuff that we are doing that OPA is paying for, we could do.
But I never had the expectation that we were doing it for free.
Right,
I think
but some
do
people-
Because I don't have that
You know.
expectation.
We sub things out all the time.
Yeah.
It's just subbing that out, but.
I had some concerns that, they've cut the staff down almost too low. How do you feel about that?
Well, the only cut that happened was whenever 2 people retired when we went to the 4-day week. 2 of the staff retired that were dishwashers, and bins we had cut to 4 days. We opted to give those hours, spread those hours out of that person, this is on the OPA side, to those remaining staff. And they were able to stay longer in the day to do that, because instead of replacing that one, give it to them, it's less of a hit for them missing that 1 day of pay. And they greatly appreciated it. So
you-
that's
They lost
the-
hours, but they turned around and gave those hours to current
The
employees.
same hours are still in the kitchen.
Yeah,
They're
so
just
they didn't lose
displaced
any
differently.
hours.
Okay.
Yeah,
And they were retiring anyways?
yeah, they quit on their own, they retired, and so we just did not do
So
that,
the-
we split
The
the
positions
hours.
aren't there, but the hours that those positions
Correct.
worked were spread out among.
How
Correct.
many are at each campus?
There's 4 at Triway, 5 at the high school, and 6 at Granby.
And have they fixed the no food problem at Granby?
I believe so.
I haven't
With
heard
the-
any
with the
complaints,
new-
cause I
yeah,
always hear it.
The new process of having them take what they
Uh-huh.
chose that
Mhm.
morning with
It's
their
helped.
little card, that has helped tremendously,
Yeah,
yeah.
thank you.
And the count has gone, thank Mr. Kirby, because he finally
He
said
really
yes.
did.
Yeah, cause that's been
Yeah.
there for 2 years.
It has,
Yes.
it has, and
But-
it's no more aggravating to anybody but that kitchen staff, let me
Yeah,
tell
you
you.
gotta
That's
remember
right.
the kids would
kids did
vote,
that.
or they say this
I
is
know
what
it,
I
I
want,
know,
and
I-
they
well,
change their minds, so
A lot
that's
was the
why.
younger kids, wasn't it?
That's
Not
why,
no- I mean,
it
they
was
didn't
always
get
food,
no
it
cars
just
baked
wasn't what
as
the
well.
kids,
Right.
Right.
what the
Well,
kids
but the
selected.
salad bar thing would be
Yeah.
empty, and
Yeah,
I
that's
would
where it
get
was.
pictures of it, and.
I changed my mind.
Because the
Well, what,
K4
the
didn't
friends
change
are-
anything, it was the
Yeah.
5/8 that Mr. Kirby had them start taking their thing,
So
and
now they
now
had to
we are
get what
spot
they
on.
asked for.
That's
Right.
right,
I see.
yeah.
Okay.
And they
I
had to
haven't heard
choose
anything,
something.
so.
It turns out a lot of them weren't even picking anything in the mornings.
We're
So
picking
that's why we
anything.
were getting a count
Oh.
of, say, 300, but we were serving 350.
Right.
You know?
What's his?
And then the
So-
junior high kids are the last ones to eat, and they're the big boys that, yeah.
Yeah, so now they're held accountable for what they chose, and it's working out much better, everybody's
Awesome.
much happier.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything, so, and believe me.
Are you comfortable with the way things are?
I think so, I wanna try, we're gonna go, me and the kitchen managers are gonna go January 29th and 30th to a No Hungry Kid seminar in Columbia. And so I'm in hopes of coming back with that, getting them on board to possibly start a supper program. Where
Oh,
we
wow.
could possibly feed, we've talked about it at the high school, but we've gotta figure out because there has to be an event that is happening at that campus that any child could go to. So that has to be number one with the district, that has to happen, or we can't make it happen. It would be simpler at the high school and to offer it there because there's always kids there, we don't have to worry about busing and things like that and getting them out of there. So, hopefully we get some insight on how other districts, we wanna connect with other districts and see how they're doing it and get some, particulars on how we could maybe do it here. So, that's.
One of the
That's
things that might
positive.
open up is feeding the teams,
Yes.
the teams feeding them.
Yes, and
Yeah.
our thing at the high
Take some
school
burden
is
off some of our
the
kids.
library being open.
I know, but-
That's open to
No
everybody.
problem, we're not promising anything,
Check that
that's
box.
something,
That is
that's
too
what
much.
We
investigating.
always had to feed our kids, feed at one
Yeah.
time. Parents would
Yeah, don't get me
appreciate
started
that.
on that.
Not you.
So,
Yeah, it's not you.
that's the one thing we're looking forward to, and hopefully something great comes of it, and we can help our kids more. So,
All right, awesome.
anything
I
else?
think,
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You know, people work hard for their money and.
Sure.
and do you feel like the staff is overworked for what they're getting paid? I want them to work hard, but are they stressed out? Can they get the
On
work
a given
done?
day, yeah, they can
On a
be.
given day, like any
Sometimes
job.
it has an effect to whether, how much prep has been done. You know, did we remember to lay out this stuff so that it's thought out, so you're not fighting a frozen chunk of beef
Mhm.
this big, you know? And I'm not blaming them, I'm just
No.
saying, yeah, there's
It
stress.
happens.
There's a lot of accountability.
There's a lot of accountability and keeping everybody on board and everything, so, do I think they're overworked? I can tell you that our meals per labor hour hang out around 12 meals per labor hour. A good range to be in, they say is 13 to 15. So we're a little lower than
Okay.
what the average is, so
So we're
I think we're
okay.
pretty good with work to labor. Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's, not too bad. Now, if you are, everybody works at a different pace.
Right,
So,
right.
Efficiency is.
it's just gonna be harder for some than others.
Right,
But,
you're right.
yeah,
If you get bored, you can go help serve.
absolutely.
That's a,
That would be a great
That's a
thing to
whirlwind.
come in.
It happens
Get
fast.
you an apron, and hairnet, and we'll go at it.
Hey,
I didn't have to have a
I-
haircut, I was good.
No,
I was gonna say, I didn't see that on that picture.
No, no haircut for me. Mr. Jacobson, I didn't have to have.
Thank you, Lori.
Yep.
You
Thanks,
really did a
Yeah,
great
thank you,
job.
Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
And we appreciate what you do for
Boy,
us.
you really
I
take your
appreciate
time
the
and
stuff.
I'm glad to still be at this new
Little
city.
hair.
Nice.
Okay,
And Jen.
how about a special ed report?
Okay.
Hi, Michelle.
Hi, how are you? It's been a while.
About a year.
Last April it has, yeah, my last two is in April. So do you guys have any questions about the report? I told Tammy it looks a little bit redundant because it seems like the couple of things that I put on there, there's some changes, but between map scores and placement, I still feel like that's my concerns. But it could be worse in the special ed world, for sure.
That's part of the challenge, those challenges are never gonna go away. That's the job security of special education, those issues and those challenges that, our folks face in there, they're always going to be there, so.
Absolutely.
Okay, so the physical therapist, occupational and speech therapist, they're not full-time employees either.
Okay,
How does
so, all of them work at all of the schools, including early childhood. Our occupational therapist is 3 days. One of our speech pathologists is 3 days. McKaylin Montgomery, I almost said Claxton, but she got married. She actually, as she's been here, she's been attending a University of Arizona, and she tested, and she is a full-blown speech pathologist, and she is good. She takes care of the Granby campus because we have so many kids there, and she goes to Head Start.
How many days a week?
She's actually a full-time, yeah. Wait, 4 days. Yeah, she's full-time and she's fabulous. We're gonna lose her. I mean, I'm Well, just yeah. being honest.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she was here under Shanna Perez as her person, and so she has been trained well, and somebody's gonna grab her. But we've been lucky because this year, she's a true-blown speech path, but she's still under that 1 year of having a supervisor, and she didn't wanna leave Shanna and the district. She really, she likes it here. But I
So-
bet you will lose her.
We pay, so some of them that are only 3 days, work 3, so are they under contract or how do we pay them?
Well, our physical therapist, she's the only one that isn't truly employed here. We contract out of Neosho.
Oh, okay.
And so we are
Yeah.
billed every month
Oh.
from Neosho on her hours
On her
here.
out, okay.
Our OT and our speech pathologist, they're paid by their hours, and we have to make sure that, like Erin Marion, we gave her so many hours, and she has to make sure she has those hours.
Oh,
But if she goes over, it's possible.
I see.
Just because it depends on how many referrals we have, because not only does she do therapy, she's also of course, she tests for it and that type of thing. She takes care of all OT district-wide. Which fine motor, we have more kids than we have
And
gross
remember,
motor.
funding from that, a lot of that is reimbursed because of the federal programs, so.
We get
And we
money.
expect that to stay the same next year, or is that, do you think that one's gonna change?
You mean, which
The
part?
position,
The
how many
position and the
Oh.
hours and all that.
You know what, before she came, we had a full-time OT, And, we could only get her for 3 days, and I grabbed it, because otherwise we're getting people out of Springfield who charge for their drive here, their hours here, $90 an hour, their drive back, and so I said, we're going to make 3 days work. And
Okay.
so she's got little ones, she's got twins and stuff, so I felt like, let's get her
In
for
the long run,
3.
in the long run, it's a savings for us. Adding extra time is, you know, it's kind of a wash because the folks coming from other, you know, Springfield and those things, so we have her for 3 days, and that was more than she'd been here, but if she wasn't here, we had to have someone from the, you know, Springfield come, so it's a wash.
Yeah,
It's, you know,
Sherry
it's a
Sorrell
budget
was
neutral
here
kind of thing.
full-time
Yeah.
whenever she was here. But I will tell you that, if these therapists go to the medical field, they make, and it's not all about money, they love it here, and that's why they stay here, but medical field, they would be making a lot more money, and so they stay here because of our team. And so we're very lucky to have, and I feel like, I truly feel like we have a good team. So, but I would say 3 days will probably be the same for a while,
Oh,
so.
But I think we have some amazing pairs.
Oh my gosh, let's talk about the
I'm
parents.
telling
many do we
you, I
have?
get,
Here, yeah, there's 10
I get so
Um,
many compliments.
We
on
have, I'm telling you,
parents,
if the parent,
teachers,
if we didn't have the parents, the school would, my department wouldn't run. We have 2 at the high school, we have 5 at Triway, and at Granby, we have 7. And I'll tell you why we have so many at Granby. We have a
it's a
TBI.
need base.
Uh-huh.
It's a need base.
It really is, and we have 4 pairs at Granby that actually are one-on-one, diapers, feeding tubes. I mean, it's full-time, and then the other ones are classroom-based. But yeah, so 7 seems a lot, but we do have 4.
Not if you sit with them and watch them. I don't know how they do it.
Do you have
Some of
enough?
them, they're amazing.
Do I have enough pairs?
Don't ask that question.
No, wait, we're all just saying, did you just ask that?
Do I have to answer?
Stop talking. Rescind.
I will
But the
tell you-
correct answer is you never have enough.
That's what I was going to say, but I will tell you that the ones we have, we
They-
utilize.
They
We-
are work.
It's just amazing. Our teachers can't do it we could not do it without them at all. The kids couldn't, it's not about the
Right.
teachers, the children,
And the kids love them. Even some non-responsive,
we've got the best.
they respond. It is
District-wide,
terrific.
I mean, all through, well, even early childhood, we have there is not one pair that I think that we should replace. So, I'm glad you brought the pairs up.
You have a decrease in inclusion numbers and increase in severe disability, that's a concern. Is that a concern because we're not matching numbers of, right, you can't help it.
here.
But
Yeah.
is it are we trying to meet,
It's a
match
DESI
Desi?
target.
It's a DESI target, okay.
Whenever I talked to you guys up front here about it today. When I started this position, I put co-teaching into place, and I actually went from not meeting to meeting. We're back to not meeting, but we've got more emotionally disturbed, we've got more other health impairments, we've got more ID. We have, let me just tell you, we have 29 intellectual disabilities. That means under 60 IQ in this district.
Wow.
And those kids, sometimes they can be in a regular classroom, but they're not learning as
Right.
much as sometimes as pulled out. Emotionally disturbed, our number just, I think that maybe Mr. Williams touched on that. Our emotionally disturbed population it's actually one of the highest jumps we usually have now. And so some of those kids with behavior problems, the other kids aren't learning, so. So I really appreciate you guys allowing me to have resource rooms, because there's different schools that are just getting rid of it, and it's not the best. No.
It's not conducive for the students.
Yeah, but we aren't meeting on that percent, as long as you guys know that. We went from 56 to 53.
So
But the
take
whole
a look.
resource room thing
It
works
won't
for
cost
us.
us any funding or anything, it's just, we have to have
They
corrective
never
action.
even mention it to me. I'm not even, yeah, we're going through MSIP again next year, and I might have to do a corrective action plan. I'm not sure what it'll look like.
Yeah.
But it's best for
It
the
works for us. Okay,
Yep, you guys have any questions?
good.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay. How about a superintendent, do we have any actions on those?
We need a motion.
Okay, motion to accept reports. Evaluation.
Make a motion.
Okay, Eric,
Second.
Brian, Matt, second. All in favor, raise your right hand. Thank you, 7-0. Okay, I believe we are at superintendent reports, please.
Enrollment report for the month of December, we had 1,319 enrolled last year at this time, according to my notes according to my notes over here on the computer, we were at 1,304. So we are still up from where we were last year at this time. You look at overall for December, overall attendance for December, we're at 94.6. Last year in December, we were 93.1, so we're up almost 1.5 points. December was up, overall for December was almost 1.5 points higher. Look at overall percentage for the year so far, to date, 95.06, and last year we were at 94.6. So we're up almost, not quite a 0.5 percent point from last year, which was up almost a 0.5 percent point from the year prior. So second year of 4-day weeks, we're almost up almost a full percentage during the first semester.
If we don't have any flu bugs, what will be?
I think we're gonna get hit a little bit in January down at Tryway. She's had a little bit of a flu bug there, but those are both encouraging numbers. Those are both encouraging numbers. If we remain here, our funding will stay almost identical, our state funding. We don't lose any more kids, our enrollment doesn't decline, we'll stay pretty darn close to where we are now. So that leveling out of numbers is a big deal, so.
What's our ADA money?
Our ADA money, it's at 6261 currently.
So really, a percentage point earns us $82,000.
No.
No, is that not right?
Not quite that much, no.
Oh, okay.
Our state adequacy target is for how many, our enrollment, so it's a whole process. So we have 1,319 kids right now, and then we have a weighted ADA, so it takes into consideration our attendance and our free and reduced lunch rate and our special ed rate. Those all get mixed into one formula, and then they mix it all in there, and it comes out at the end what our weighted ADA is, and then we are funded on our weighted ADA.
Okay,
So that, it's,
so you know what that is, about what?
our weighted ADA is 1,451 times 6261, and that's our state aid. So right now, that's a little over 6 million.
So did it go up, or is there a chance for it to go up over $63?
We started the year at
63.08?
6241, it's supposed to go to 6308. We might, if it does, we will be retroactively paid for that near the end of the year. So currently, we're still at 6261. There's still a chance, they're still saying it's gonna go up, we'll see. And then next year's projected was 63, what was it, 57?
Over 63.
But sales tax still.
Yeah, so we don't know, it's all in flux right now, so currently we're being funded at 6261, which
Still
is,
saying the 63.
which is $20 more than it was last year, at the end of last year. It was 6241 end of the year, so we are up from, funding is up from last year in that area, so
There's one percentage makes a big difference.
it does, it does. Percentage point of attendance does make a big difference. Not quite as much as you were saying, but it does make a difference.
Well, it sounded good.
Yeah, that sounded really.
That sounded awesome.
Yeah.
What I heard was.
Currently all our funds together are $1.7 million. You see, this was at $81,000, we deposited $46,000, so our Fund 4 capital fund is now at we're only $41,000 in the hole. This next month, that will disappear. And the reason, again, we don't put it in there is because the second we put it in there, it becomes restricted, so we keep it at a deficit. We're gonna keep it at a deficit so we don't end up restricting money and then not being able to spend it on other things. Because once we put it into Fund 4, it's stuck there, we can't spend it on anything else but capital funds. So that's why we're underfunding it at this point, and we'll get to where it's funded, budgeted where we, funded where we budgeted by the end of the year.
Tax money should be coming in?
It came in today, deposited in, but that's not on this, that'll be on
Right,
next
that'll
month.
be on next month.
That's next month, so. I looked at it a little bit today, but I don't wanna give you a number, cause there's some more things I gotta look at to make sure I'm figuring it right. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I figured it right, but we'll see. I wanna make sure and we'll have a budget adjustment next month, so I'll ask you to vote on that. State revenue was 803, and total revenues for December was 1.2. Expenditures 1.2. Again, we did not deficit spend that last month, so, and so we are currently $82,000 ahead.
That's pretty.
Last year,
Isn't that great?
last year at this time, we were $71,000 in the hole. Deficit spending 71,000, so we're progressing along nicely. Year-to-date revenue expense comparison, last year at this time, we had spent 5.58, and we spent 5.506, so total, total savings is, let's see, our revenue's down 42,000 from last year at this time, but, the, expenditures are down 194,000. So if that makes sense, so. We'll look at a couple places where that is. Labor cost, last year at this time, 3.7, this year it's 3.5. So we're down about $200,000, $201,000 actually total labor cost savings from last year, at this point last year. Everybody see that? Makes sense? Teachers fund is down 153,000, and the general fund, which is our non-certified folks, our classified folks, is down 47,000. So those changes we made this is what's trying to keep us on budget here, keep us balanced. Other cost centers, capital outlay looks like it's above, but that just means we've spent more of it before the end of the year like we did last year. That hasn't changed much. Transportation supplies, we've just spent more at this point than last year. Transportation labor is almost identical. What is it? $100 difference? And the transportation fuel's up a little bit, but still well under our, we're at $34,000 halfway through the year, and we budgeted $90,000, so we're still below. We're still in good shape there. Utilities are up just a little bit from last year, but not much. We're about 20,000 above, but we'll see how that balance. And remember, part of that was because we no longer have the savings and the grant from the state, so that's in the budget. It's more expensive now, but I put that in the budget because I knew it was coming. So it looks like we're out of whack there, but we're not. We're on budget for this year. It's just the budget is higher than it was last year for this stuff. Does that make sense? And that is the superintendent's report with enrollment and finances. Any questions or anything?
Okay. Operations report.
I'm gonna bring to your attention, we talked about the last board meeting, we had Anderson Engineering come in and look at the mezzanine, because of the concerns of the roof. They come back after getting the information off of Joyce and our architectural blueprints, that they're saying that they do not recommend using that for weights. Those joists are meant for 100 pounds per square feet. The weight room is meant for 150 pounds per square feet. I had him stop at the joist. He could have went on to the concrete, but I figured there was no sense of doing that calculation. Just going to cost us more money if the joist wasn't going to be able to hold up to it. So, want to give you that information, and we're going to have to be looking for another area to have a weight room. And really, at the high school, we have no other rooms. So, me thinking is something we can think about is we may want to try to build something.
How quick do we have to do something on it?
We can move the weight room. Right now, my thought is, talking with Tony and the PE coaches and Mr. Patterson, we can move it over to the field house for now, and then wait for the summer. And that, I know I talked to you earlier about, we got the roof consultant who's gonna do some roofing, which was on the, not a dire need, but it was something I'd planned. This is a good year to get those roofs done. Instead of using that money for the roofs, we can use that money I had earmarked for that to do this weight room. So, and the figures I've come up so far for a weight room for a 40 by 60, I'm thinking like I said, I don't have everything, but I'd say we should be able to get in for 50, 60,000. That money's not new money, that'd be money that we already had in the budget to, like I said, we was gonna do some roof projects with. For roofs, like I said, it was something that was scheduled, but it's not something that has to be done,
The roofs aren't leaking.
no. So,
It would be deferred maintenance. We defer the maintenance on the roofs for this one-time expenditure, and then the roofs would be right back on the schedule for next year. So that would be the idea behind that.
So do we need some thoughts, some input into this, or what do you guys think?
Is that labor and material
yeah,
for 40 by 60?
yeah. I've just got some numbers from some different trades guys. And they got the concrete labor material for a 24 by 60 is for 10,500. Lumber and metal, about 15,000. Framing it and then putting the metal on is gonna be close to 10,000, maybe a little bit more, because I don't think they figured in putting the interior skin in, ceiling and the walls on the
So where are
interior.
you talking about putting?
We've looked at a couple of places. I think the best place to put it, to be closest, so that they don't have to walk a long distance, is gonna be right outside this west side of the gym, where those two locker
So
hallways
those-
are.
Those two hallways would go right into it.
Well, it's not gonna be connected.
Right.
I mean, they'd walk out and, yeah, it'd be right there on the parking lot.
Can we put a breezeway there?
Can you put a breezeway there?
Yeah.
We can look to do that, yes.
Is there anything wrong with keeping it in the field house?
It's not big enough.
Oh,
So how much bigger, I mean,
oh.
That room in that field house is 22 by 32. It's like that,
Half the size.
yeah.
Plus then we go into a security thing like what we were talking about before, and then walk in.
Yeah, it's a long walk. I mean, so, yeah. But
you know, I just think that if we're gonna do something, this is personal opinion, but I think if we're gonna do something like this, we need to make it a public deal and don't make it a surprise, oh, look what's going up. You know, if we're gonna do it, then put it out in the paper, put it out and let everybody know what's going on. At least do that, because you know, the field house over here was kind of a fiasco when it went up, a surprise, look what we got now. And I just think that we need to really be careful, and I think we can find something else to do with weights for a while, because here's the deal, we were talking about it being in a balanced budget, I know we're deferring maintenance, but I just don't know that it's a good idea right now.
there's no other place to have it though. I mean, that's the.
We could go to the FEMA building, couldn't we?
Those 4 classrooms, where you gonna put those classrooms? You don't
Well,
want,
I talked to Jeff, and he said that we're not utilizing all 4 classrooms as it is.
Well, the challenge, my opinion, for what it's worth, the challenge of putting it right there, you've got academic classes going on right next to a weight class.
But we would have that
And
electric.
dressing room.
The FEMA building, one of my concerns is, what was the total cost to build the FEMA building? I wasn't here, it was,
there's over $2 million.
right,
Okay,
so I
and
mean,
I-
I'm just,
I bet you the concrete is rated high enough that we
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah,
have to worry
that-
about
that's
it.
not-
That, but you're not gonna be able to have I wouldn't wanna have a classroom next to it.
No. The music going and, you know, just to get into your.
Probably 2 things on that is, to have it in the FEMA building, one of those rooms is not utilized every single hour, that is true. It's probably utilized 5 of 7 hours, so there's 2 hours out of the day where it's not. But the other thing that I would be more concerned about is at 2 AM, if a siren goes off and people have to evacuate in here, now you have a room that's full of weight equipment and.
Oh, I didn't say this is a perfect idea.
No, I understand,
I'm-
and the public coming in, I just don't know if that's a great.
and I think that's the challenge, is we don't have a perfect idea. We're working with, I mean,
Well, I know $50,000 or $60,000 is way cheap to get this done.
That's what I'm saying,
Yeah,
don't
that
see it
is.
bad.
Oh, I don't think we're arguing about that being a cheap deal. I'm just saying, the public perception of this, we are in a situation where we have a balanced budget just barely, and now we're gonna put up a building, you know, I mean.
And we're still.
But it's deferring the money, so it's not really.
Well, it needs to go out to
It's not-
public. it
It's
needs
not
to-
hitting the
Yeah,
budget.
I mean, I don't have a problem with
I have
that.
no problem with it going, but the public also
Well,
elected
they
us
need-
to
they
be able
want
to
to
take
know
care of
why,
things.
right.
But also,
and that's,
also, all of
that's
our
fine.
stuff, this
I
is
mean,
all
we're not trying to
public.
hide anything, that's
I
why
mean, this
we
is
brought it
public,
to you
so
now.
I don't mind, we can do an all-call, please watch the last school board meeting. It's public,
Yeah.
I mean,
I just think we need to get the word out
Oh,
somehow.
definitely.
However, we need to get the word out, that's all I'm thinking. Something,
Yep.
Facebook.
So
But
it's a metal
also,
building, not
Yeah,
brick.
metal,
but it's
studded,
connected still to what we have,
won't
right?
be connected.
Oh, it would not be connected?
No,
It'll be-
It
be
wouldn't
right
be
outside.
Well, you walk right out the
connected.
doors and then
And
there's a
it'd
door
be
for
right
them
there.
to go in right
It's like,
there.
just like the FEMA's not connected, I mean, it's,
Right.
What about
Okay,
and we
the
can look,
air?
and we can look at
Okay,
a
so
bridge
then-
awning,
Maybe
yeah.
heat
That's a good idea. Is that,
Heat and air.
Heat and air.
Yeah, I haven't got it on there, but that's one of the things.
is that just like a couple of mini splits?
We'll look into either too many, or split systems or a package unit.
So we're looking
Seven
at
times
Well, I
what
mean,
they
like
said.
the mini splits are, they're depthless.
Oh, the Mitsubishi,
Well, There's
Yeah.
there's
yeah,
several of
that's,
them.
yeah.
So I think that would be more, I think that would be a
I can look
better
into
deal.
it.
One of the other things, I think, and insulated as well, so
Yeah,
that's one,
it's already
insulated,
there.
so it would be, you know, if we were to do something like this, we want to put a quality product out there, not just throw something up, so that would be one of the things, so that's one of the things that we talked about here in the last couple of weeks when, and before Christmas when it happened, we just talked about it internally a little bit, the things that we would need, before we would even recommend it, here's the bare minimum, which would be heat and air, insulated, and, you know, big enough to where you could have an entire, you know, have 35 kids, 45 kids working out at the same time. So it's heated during the winter and then cooled during the summer.
How many do you have in the summertime that come for weights? I mean, 'cause you have quite a few, don't you?
Well, that's,
So you-
if you went during,
A junior
if you went during
house.
summer school time, you know, at the beginning of summer school, you could have 100 and,
So you.
Well,
You,
but you'd have to, you just have to
Boys and
split them
girls.
doing
Okay.
weights one time and then, you know, doing your,
That's what they
agility
don't, that's
stuff.
what they
that's
normally
what,
do.
that's what we do
anyway.
now, so that would, yeah.
And I like it
No-
there 'cause the
No water or
bathrooms are-
anything out
Yeah.
there. right?
Well, you're right, but no water, we wouldn't have a bathroom or anything. but
Right, well, and
you're a
there's,
step
you
away.
can go in and change and then right to the weight room.
Yeah,
Yeah,
It's just, yeah,
it's
Well, and
right,
I
yeah,
don't-
that's.
I don't-
basically,
that's
it'd be
I
the
don't
same
think it's
distance from
unknown
the
that
locker
we
room
don't
as the
have a
gym
great
is.
yeah.
Weight program,
so that's-
which would only help.
Yeah. True.
I mean, we're not known for our weights, and every time someone says something within the sports, they're
And
always,
probably the,
we need to increase.
Well,
our
you
the
weights."
have
staff
to
up
do
here,
it. Yeah,
here's
that's
the
what I
weights
say.
quite often, don't you?
And that's the standard.
Every
You also
time,
have
well,
to
you
have-
just jump whenever they
Right,
drop them.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just like you think the roof's
We have
falling.
to have- we have to have what, Rusty?
Well, yeah, I
That's
said
the
we have to
The
do
standard.
what I
DESI
say.
standards are,
It was falling.
there's
Evidently.
5 standards
That's what we
that
discovered,
pretty much
but it
say
took 50
you want to
plus
do
years, right?
weightlifting,
Did pretty good.
so.
Yeah, that's,
So the balcony now, right now, can you still do weights and just not dropping them, or are we just
Yeah.
talking?
that's
about-
what we did until we talked to you all, to make sure you all were aware that we were gonna have to move them, so that's what, I kinda made an executive decision there and said, hey, we'll stay there until we have this conversation, and now, we'll be moving it here pretty
So we're
quick.
just not doing free weights?
Well, they're just not
Drop-
dropping,
drop.
not doing power cleans or
Yeah.
We need
deadlifts.
to
They're
do
not-
what's safe for the kids.
Yeah,
We need
that's-
to get them out there.
And the
That's the whole
kitchen's
thing.
below that, we don't wanna hurt the kitchen staff either.
That's right, that's right.
It's a concern.
Whenever I heard about this the other day, that they
Do
were
you want
like,
them to start
did you
lifting?
hear that they're gonna stop throwing the weights down? Well, they really just drop them, but it's,
That's what power play.
shakes you
Yeah.
up. It shakes you up
So,
when you're.
I-
It's a controlled drop.
Maybe
is what
getting
it
in the
is.
weeds, but how far out from the building are we talking?
Just right outside the
Because
sidewalk.
I-
Yes, right next to the sidewalk.
Well, I'm thinking
talking time
to
grass,
go into the
like,
parking lot.
you know, you have something
Yeah, they go in
happen
the
at-
parking lot.
Oh,
At a
okay,
ball.
okay, so that's what, because I wasn't quite.
We'd lose a little bit of parking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's in the parking lot.
Yeah, not bad at all.
Yeah, well.
Well, I'm just
few
thinking,
places.
But
like
that's
you
just
have an
a-
emergency at a ball game or graduation, now people are trying to rush out and all of a sudden this building's here. Is it that
They'll,
close?
they'll,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, sidewalk will still be
Yeah.
there, so they can go out and exit, yeah.
We'll still have
It would
both
still be an
doors, both
adequate
entries,
access.
and the girls' room.
Yep, and we can't close those off, we wouldn't close those off because then that would make it.
We'll probably only have to put on it tomorrow though, so
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
we make them walk around with one side.
Right, right.
Yeah. I don't like them personally walking all the way over here. I think that just is cause for trouble. Kids
Well, but
talk.
they have to for now. but-
For
Kids-
now,
They're gonna have, I mean, temporarily.
Kids been walking to the ag building for
They
years.
did.
And I don't think
I
that's a
mean,
good
honestly.
idea either.
Yeah, that's-
I don't wanna start my opinions on that.
I can't believe I used to walk to Granby Gym when I was in
I know,
school.
down the street.
Right? Down the street.
That was a long walk too.
Well, we just wanted you to be aware of it and have this discussion so we could see, get a direction and an idea of what we need to do.
I'm fine with
Because
it.
we're, you know, we're in a pickle, so to speak,
I think it's
with,
good.
to keep it clean. We're kind of in a pickle, we have to,
Well, and
we have
I
to do
also
something.
think that it shows that we're putting, I mean, we've had a lot of people concerned about those programs, and I also think that it's showing that we're doing those
Right, I mean, that
things
is,
to help
that's a
enhance
tight
the
space up
program.
there.
It is, it is, I
I
agree.
mean, you can't
Where?
really
I'm
get.
glad-
And
I'm
it
glad
comes
you
back to
break.
it wasn't designed for that.
Yeah, it wasn't.
That's
So
right.
now we have,
That's right.
and, you know, the concern came about because, you know, I think you were in there and you saw things
Yeah, saw
flittering
that.
down from the ceiling after heard it drop and, ooh. So maybe we ought to look into that, and we did,
It's even
and
worse underneath that air conditioner in the kitchen.
so we were afraid this was gonna happen, but it's, right now, it's a safety thing,
Has to be done.
so.
I think it's a good idea.
Rusty, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay.
Oh, we had any
Oh, yeah.
lawsuit.
Oh.
Right.
No, we
We
talked
So
about
we'll-
this.
More seating during
talked about
graduation.
We'll, next month, we'll bring you a little bit better plan.
Go, Judy.
Yeah.
So next month, Rusty and Rusty and I, meaning Rusty, will bring you a little bit more detailed plan and some thoughts.
Okay. All right, curriculum and instruction reports.
First one you're getting is math, and then, sorry, and then there's ELA right there. These were our MAP scores that come out. They're unembargoed now, so we can kind of share those a little bit and get those out there. Some of the things you'll see as you look through them.
The short one.
Sorry.
I got one right there.
The top red and blue, that's the math, and the other one is ELA. And some of the things you'll notice about them, and I'm not going to go into them ad nauseum, but if you'll start looking at them, pretty much what you have on here is proficient and advanced scores. That's all I really went with for the most part. And those are the top two ones that you'll want to look at. There's the basic and below basic that are below that. What we're looking at is, you know, how many of our kids are scoring at proficient and advanced, you know, within the state. So that's the state comparison right there. If you're looking at math, it's blue, I think. Yeah, blue. And you'll flip through the very,
That's percentage.
correct.
Okay.
The very top page is third grade for the entire district. If you go to the next page, then it breaks it down by school, as compared to the state as well. So if you look through those, pretty much, and if you look at the state compared to last year, everything's down. New test,
Yeah, remember, we can't compare this year's scores to
and that's
last
why,
year's scores.
honestly, why I didn't put 2017 on there. It's a different test, so I didn't want to,
Because
I don't want to compare those. Because if you do look at it, you just get depressed because you think, good Lord, everything dropped catastrophically.
And it did drop catastrophically, but for the whole state it did. Now,
But when you're looking at down in comparison, there were some bright areas. If you look at the math, and I've checked some of those toward the